8 workers at the Byron Nuclear Power Plant are in the hospital after being exposed to what officials say was non-radiological chemical. According to a statement from Constellation Energy, who owns the plant, the chemical escaped a holding tank in the turbine building. They say the plant's response team took appropriate steps to contain the leak quickly. They say workers were transported to the hospital as a precaution and that the incident does not impact public health or safety, as they will continue to keep workers and community stakeholders informed. It happened just before 6 p.m. when several ambulances were called to the power plant. We do know that last week the plant began a refueling and maintenance outage on Unit 1. The chemical the workers were exposed to has not been confirmed to us on the record at this time. However, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission says that the chemical that was involved is not one that it regulates.